This is Nathan Fantasy Football League Updates.
Nathan, Fantasy Football League Updates, welcome back. I'm sure, just like us, you are thrilled to see the 2026 season, and the league is back in action in 2026. And of course it is. We are ready to run it back here for another year of great fantasy football. This is year 6 after an incredible year 5. It was competitive all the way across the board, and why not? Year number 6, who is lucky number 6? Will we see a new champion or maybe a familiar face back on the podium? Only time will tell, but as you click on this video, that means you're ready for the season to start, and which means we have to introduce you to the new teams this year, some familiar faces, and then get you all caught up on our rules, then our divisions, before we can get into the nitty gritty of this season, the meat and potatoes, if you will, when we get the draft lottery, and then we get to find out where everybody and who everybody selects this season. But before we get to then, let's start with a little bit of a league meeting update. Not much rule change went into effect here for 2026. Still 2 QBs, still a punter, still 10 teams. Those are some of the big questions coming into the year. Also, there was some talk about last year's debacle with a 6-8 team making it in because of their head-to-head record. There was an argument for maybe 0.4 being the tiebreaker. That did not win. So head-to-head will still be the tiebreaker to make it into the playoffs. But the big rule is adding lineup protections this year. It was a new addition added to the ESPN Fantasy app, and we've decided to incorporate that into the 2026 season. So if you don't know what lineup protections is, it's simply if a player gets marked out at super late in the afternoon, or maybe if you're not checking in the afternoon, it will automatically switch in somebody that is viable to start in your lineup. So just making sure everybody every week is playing somebody competitive in case something crazy does occur. But that is the only lineup protection that was added, and that was the only change added here for the 2026 season, which brings us to who will be competing in the 2026 season. Let's meet the newest teams that'll make up this year's 2026 crop. And we'll start, of course, with all of those returning teams, the teams that you guys know and love all too well. We start with just a very familiar face, the Zestmeisters. We couldn't start anywhere else, but the Zestmeisters, who are still searching for that first playoff appearance. Is 2026 the lucky year? We thought in 2025 they were going to do it. They were knocking at the door of the postseason, lost a handful of games straight, and finished the season 6-8. They had 6 wins, one more, and they would have been in. First playoff appearance, it wasn't to be. And now the Zestmeisters in 2026 will be searching for that first postseason win. Let's find out if they can get there in 2026. Wishing them all the best this season. Maybe they can turn it around, find some new methods with drafting, and really come through. Another familiar face that is back for another season, the Empire Strikes Back. They're still waiting for their moment to strike back, but they won their division last year, and then they made it all the way to the semifinal game before being bounced. But nonetheless, again, a very competitive team that maybe made some draft changes, but man, their 2 first-round picks, Puka Nacua, CMC, climbing up the draft boards in 2026 were great pickups, and we'll see if they're back again, trying to compete for another conference championship and maybe a league championship for the first time. And then another familiar face to many, because how can't you know about this team? The Michigan Avengers. They are one of those high-class blue blood teams. They've made the playoffs every year. It has been now 3 straight years they have made it to the championship. Now, granted, the last 2 they have lost in the championship game, but the year before that, they were the 2023 league champions. They have not finished lower than fourth place in this league. I mean, a true blue blood that wins time and time again. They are back for season number 6 and trying to raise a second banner now that that bar has been set a little bit higher after our first back-to-back and two-time champion was crowned last year. So there is the Michigan Avengers catch up again. Always great with the drafting, always great with the managing. They're back for another season. So we move on. Another familiar face, we'll call it. A team that is just changing locations. A new change of scenery. The team formerly known as the Rocky River Rough Riders will relocate to become the Richmond Rough Riders this season. One of the co-founders of the league, they have had success. No championship to hold, but great finishing 2 years ago. They're best at third place. This year, they're trying to get back into the win column in the postseason. They were the team that was left out at 6-8 last year due to tiebreakers. This year, they're hoping to finally make it back into the postseason and make a run after a really successful 2024 season. We'll see if they can get back on track in their new home in Richmond. And then we move on to another team that's very similar, a name many will recognize. It's the Bunnies squad. Last year, they were the Brooklyn Bunnies, but now they are the Bunny Bandits. They have decided to adopt this fun little bunny bandit mascot, a little bit of a cyborg bunny, but they are a team that is, again, they won the opening year of the league as the Tampa Bay Thunderbirds. Then they started adopting the bunny names. They've moved from Bay City to Brooklyn to Belgium, of course, but now they're going simply no city, just some wandering bunny bandits. We'll see what they can do. Again, that first round has not been their friend. They draft, well, one of the biggest busts of the year. It feels like every year in the first round. But then they still find ways to have success. They are a true blue blood, have made the playoffs every single season in the league, but only that one championship to this point, and they're trying to climb the ladder again to get back to that championship game for the first time since season number 1. Is 2026 the year that they right that ship and get back to really a dominant blue blood status? Well, there we go. Those are all more of the fresh faces. Now we get to meet all of the fun faces. We first start with the teams that are usually go as the BBBs. That used to be the Big Brain Blank, Bears, Binturongs. Well, this year they have relocated. Last year they were the Bangkok Ball and Boas. We welcome in the Baffin Bay Belugas, the team that is known best for being cursed in the postseason. That is no joke. They have not won a postseason game. Last season would have been the second highest seed if they weren't in the division with, at the time, the Cancun Chameleons, who have now claimed the title for the best record in league history. Instead, they were the 3 seed, got bounced in the first round. They have still yet to win a postseason game. Is this the year that Baffin Bay not only wins a postseason game, but climbs the ranks all the way to a championship, maybe? Who knows, but this is certainly a cursed franchise that is looking to change that. And the Belugas, can they surface to a playoff win? That is the question, and that is the storyline we're going to be monitoring all year in 2026, is how is that trajectory going for them? Then we move on. We introduce another new face, known the last 2 seasons as the Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels. They're double managed team. This year they will relocate and be known as the Omaha Moon Possums. What a name, what a relocation. You absolutely love to see it. The Moon Possums are here to try to get back to the postseason. It's the double managed team, and again, they haven't had the success they've wanted the last couple of years, but in year 1 of that double managed strategy, they found their way to the postseason. Can they get back to the postseason for the first time in a while? They've been a team that's kind of been at the bottom trying to trend up. They had a good outlook of a team last year. The pieces just didn't quite come together and trades didn't work out how they were hoping. This year, expect this team to be back in action and possibly competing. I mean, with a name like that, you feel like maybe the Moon Possums are going to cause some problems and maybe blast off to a playoff appearance and, who knows, chase that first championship for the double managed squad. We move on from the Moon Possums to the Cancun Chameleons, who, as we just talked about, last season was the best record in league history. They won 12 straight games, 12-2 their final record in the regular season. They got a bye in the first round of the postseason, made it to the semis, and got bounced by the Michigan Avengers. It was heartbreak because this team seemed unstoppable. I mean, you rattle off 12 straight to go into the postseason. They were the shoe favorites to win it all, and they coughed it up. They choked in what seemed like an inevitable victory for the Chameleons, so they've decided to ditch the Chameleons name, and although it will hang in the rafters as the best regular season in league history to this point, and they will adopt the Cali Caimans nickname here for 2026. They stick with the CC reptile theme, and they were the Iguanas, obviously not C, but then they go to the Chameleons, and now we welcome the Cali Caimans to the league. Can they have a season that rivals the Chameleons' regular season, and maybe go above and beyond and win that first championship for themselves? We will certainly find out, and we are certainly excited to find out about that one. All right, we move on to a face that is making its return to the league. A league legend, if you will, has risen from the dead. We go all the way back to 2022. We first introduced you to last year's team, Linden the Crow. They finished last in the regular season, and now they have decided, after only making the playoffs once, to relive the glory days. We welcome back the 2022 champions of this league. The California Poppies have made their return to the Fantasy Football League. They won it in 2022. It was an impressive run. The only time this franchise has made the postseason. They went undefeated, a perfect 3-0 sweep. They were excellent, and now they're trying to keep the legacy alive. It's a questionable move because you risk, with the trajectory this franchise is on, ruining and tarnishing the name and legacy of the California Poppies. But on the other side, can they restore the luck and the absolute glory that this franchise had in 2022? That's going to be the question, and they are looking to rival the back-to-back champions. We have some interesting developments. Of course, lots of champions, but you bring back a team that has won it before. That makes the Michigan Avengers and the California Poppies two teams with that name that have won a championship. It's going to be interesting. Can the Poppies get back to the top of the mountain? We're going to find out. But welcome back to a league legend, the California Poppies. And that brings us to our final team. And you wonder, well, what's this team bring to the table? It's dynasty territory right now. It started with the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp 2 years ago, hosted the first championship for myself. And then last year, the Tucson Gila Monsters and the Tucson Tie, the roller coaster that was that season, an 0-5 start, one of the worst in league history, became a 5-game winning streak. Then they lost 3 out of their last 4 and snuck into the playoffs on a tiebreaker as the 6th seed. The Tucson Gila Monsters upset the Bangkok Ball and Boas, upset the Empire Strikes Back, and take down the Michigan Avengers in their 3rd championship rematch to be the first ever back-to-back champions in league history and 2-time champions in league history. And now we are looking for dynasty territory. A three-peat is on the line for the Providence Plague. This team has plagued the league for the last 2 years. This franchise has been the plague for all of these teams, and we're hoping the Providence Plague can just repeat it that the last 2 teams have done. It was unconventional last year. I will not dismiss that. I will be the first to admit it was an unconventional year. We started 0-5, and then we got the Tucson Tie, and it just carried us to victory. But now the Providence Plague is here to cause problems and is here to begin a franchise dynasty. The first ever 3-time champion, 3 years in a row. We are looking to become a true dynasty and the first in league history. We are a blue blood, have made the playoffs every year, and that shouldn't change with the Providence Plague taking over the name and city this year. We are looking to plague this league and dominate with 3 straight. Can it happen? We'll find out, but there we go. There's your 10 teams this season as the Plague rounded out. So we got one more treat in store for you. It's time to unveil the divisions for this season. Always a big deal as you find out who you'll be playing on a daily basis, what those matchups will look like. Well, let's meet the divisions. First, for the AFC this season, it will be the back-to-back champions, the Providence Plague out in the AFC, joined by the Cali Caimans, last year's best record overall. The Empire Strikes Back will also join the AFC. That is both division winners from last year and the champion compiled into one league. Then you see the Omaha Moon Possums slide in. And how about another champion? The California Poppies make their return and jostle in what is looking like last year a very stacked division. Those are your five in the AFC, which makes the NFC the Richmond Rough Riders, the Baffin Bay Belugas, the Bunny Bandits, the Michigan Avengers, and the Zest Meisters, the five in the AFC, or the NFC, I should say. So pretty balanced divisions overall. You've got teams that have really jockeyed in and out of playoff appearances, not a playoff appearances. Should be some pretty competitive leagues on both sides. Now, if you're going off last year, yes, the AFC has a little bit more firepower based off last year. The best record overall, both of the division champions and then the league champion in there. And then you add the Poppies with the historical factor. But the other side, very competitive. And if you remember, there were so many 6 and 8 teams last year that it really is going to be tough to kind of know how the divisions are going to play out. Should be pretty competitive across the board, but there's the AFC, there's the NFC. So that should do it. There is your update for the 2026 teams and season. You've met all the teams, which means we've got to get you next, the draft lottery. We've got to know where everybody's picking this season, and it's going to be a fun one. So until then, we will wish you a great rest of your week. The draft lottery will be the next video up on the channel. We will get to find out where everybody is picking. So let us know who you want to see at number 1 this season. Plenty of teams have picked there, but do you have a favorite to pick at 101? We'll find out in the next video, but until then, let us know who you think is going to pick at number 1 and who's your favorite team heading into 2026. Who are you rooting for? Is it a three-peat in the dynasty run from the Plague? Is it the first playoff appearance for the Zestmeisters? Let us know in the comments below. Until then, we wish you a great week, and we'll talk to you real soon on the Nathan Sports Talks channel.